Hi, this is Chris Rose and Ted Dinsmore with SphereGen Technologies in New Haven, Connecticut. And we just want to share with you a little bit of a conversation we're having when it comes to testing, how much of a budget you should apply to your testing, whether you do that testing proactively or in the post of your application development. And Ted shared with me some insights about a client we had that I thought would be interesting when it comes to data analytics and how they apply.
Yeah, one of the first questions we always get in particularly in budget process is what's the cost of testing? And we started the conversation with one of our clients. We were talking about the cost of failing to test, and that we've averaged out about a 10x multiple of the failure to test ratio, which is an important point when we talk about the actual budget itself. There's some factors to consider before you actually get too far in here. One is, do you do manual testing? Do you do automated testing? And the other thing is, what level of documentation do you provide to the testers, right? We can provide full scripts to them where it's a very in-depth process, but then they start following what's called a happy path, which is what most programmers do. They follow, oh, this step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's all happy, it all works. But we want our testers to follow a negative path. We want them to test where things are not going to work and things the developer hasn't thought of. So who tests this application is really important consideration. You want to have that person that can actually take and follow the negative path and do things that are normally would not work. When we talk about budget, one of the things that we really need to look at is the ratios, what we've done in the past. Now, in the past, we've been doing about 18 to 20% of the development time. So if I have a project that's 100 hours, that's 20 or so hours of testing time compared to the development time. That has actually crept up a little bit. Now we're about 25%, and we're in the case in point we started talking about, we actually started looking at around 30% for next year's budget. And we thought this was really interesting that this is creeping up. We started factoring out why this is. One of it is the complexity of the applications that we're working with. The multi-layer of applications, the different data sorts, different data inputs. It's really changing how we test and the amount of testing we're having.
And it was this variety of data imports that you were touching on that I thought was very interesting, and we would share about a client that we had to engage with. They were pulling data from multiple sources.
Oh yeah, all different. It was a medical application, and then pulling data from all these different data sources, XML files, data loads from databases, and whenever we made one UI change on the application layer, we had to test all this. And we wound up understanding that the data, no matter what we did for the UI or the application layer, the data integration testing was very critical because that's the end result that has to go into the application.
Right.
So that it is a much bigger point. And our advice at this point is, we're looking at 20 to 25% in the past years, look at 25 to 30% coming forward in your testing budget.
Perfect. Well, this is Ted and Chris Rose with SphereGen Technologies, New Haven, Connecticut. We'd love to talk to you about keeping your technology relevant. Thanks for joining.